Guess what? Guess what? I got something to tell you. We all live the same life. Well, kinda. Sit down with us as we discuss various topics regarding being married millennials. When your spouse is both your best friend and your pain in the you know what. Welcome to another episode of the Married to Millennials podcast. I'm Tuck.
I'm Mishi.
What's going on, babe?
Not much.
I had a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I like to ask a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you have three options.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to build your perfect vacation, car, or home.
Wait, what?
So I want you to build your perfect ideal vacation, car, or home.
One of them?
One of them. Only pick one. You tell me what it is, and then I'll probe questions.
Home.
All right. The ideal home. You love the home that we're in, of course, but you can always upgrade. Yeah. I want you to describe the ideal home. Let's start off with how many bedrooms.
Okay, so ideally, obviously our bedroom, the
Mm-hmm.
kids will have their own, just like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think we have to have more than one guest bedroom. So five. We have five now, but one's an office, so five true bedrooms.
Okay. 5 true bedrooms, like a bonus. So
Well, I still need an office space, but I'm
yes.
saying like five actual bedrooms.
Okay, got you. The actual bedrooms, got you. All right. What about location?
Close enough to a city where I can drive into it pretty quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but far enough out to where I'm not stacked on top of my neighbors.
Got you. Okay. So you want to stay in the upstate?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't, when you say where, I don't
Uh huh.
necessarily have a city in mind. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like,
You would still like to be
I want to
close
be
to the
able to be
city,
close enough to go and do stuff,
right?
but I also want to have enough space to where I can feel comfortable too.
Okay. Got you. How many stories?
I don't know if that matters. As long as it has the stuff inside.
Okay. Got you. Let's talk about yard. Anything in particular? Backyard, front yard that you would like?
The reason being away from the hustle and bustle, I guess, of downtown, I would want more space. So, like a backyard where we can have like a grilling area
Mm-hmm.
and a pool, and a seating area.
Okay. So pool, but you can't swim, but you still like a pool.
I get in the water.
Got you. Just
Don't
ask.
try me.
Just ask.
I get in the water.
All right.
I might not be able to swim, but I get in.
Okay, got you. I think we've painted the picture. Now, I have a question for you, a follow-up question for that. So you have your ideal home in your head, correct?
Okay.
What would
You
happen?
never asked me about the kitchen. See, the
Okay,
kitchen
sorry.
is what makes
Okay,
the
that is
most
very important. You're right. You're right.
that makes the house.
That is very important. Tell me about the kitchen. I'm
I
sorry.
need plenty of counter space,
Okay.
plenty of storage
Yes.
cabinet space,
Okay.
a bigger pantry,
Okay.
and then an island where you can sit around it. Yeah,
Storage in that island too.
everywhere.
Everywhere. You want storage everywhere. Everything needs a place.
Everything needs a place. I don't want a bunch of stuff on the counter.
Got you. Basement or no basement?
I like a basement.
Okay. More room for another room or office, maybe. I don't know how
No,
Wi-Fi will
I want
be.
that more like a hangout spot. So, like,
Yeah.
not a man cave,
Okay.
but just a cave.
Okay. Just a cave. Got you. Garage attached or detached?
I hate detached garages. I don't understand the purpose of them. Like, why would I park
Okay.
my car under something and then have to get out into the weather and come in the house? That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Okay.
Where is this going?
So this is where it's going. Okay. So you have your ideal house. We painted the picture. What would happen if three of those things that you wanted on there weren't on the list? Would you still take the house?
It depends. What are those three things?
Okay. Let's say that maybe that fifth bedroom isn't the biggest and maybe it might be shared with something else. Would you still take it? If it was like a bonus room that you had to convert to
Yeah,
one?
because it's just something that if we have people over, they could stay in it.
What if the drive it was ideal to get to the city, but it's a little further, like we gotta prepare ourselves to go to the city.
How far?
20 minutes.
That's not far.
Okay. Got you. All right. And then last thing, if you had the storage, but your pantry wasn't as big.
Then I have the storage. The pantry's fine.
Okay. Got you. So which brings me to my next point. When you were dating, did you have a list of potential mate?
No.
You did not have a list.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I mean, there are certain things that you have to that like you would want from somebody,
Mhm.
but no, I think I mentioned this before, like Chili's list. Like, no, I don't have. I didn't have that.
Okay.
Did you?
No, I did not have a list. So here's the thing about a list. Just like we just did with that house, you're not gonna get everything on that list unless you just like, well, for the house, unless you just got a plethora of money and land and all things just work out perfect. Then you can have that list. But realistically, in
I
society,
mean,
there's
that's from building from ground up.
right. That's true. That's true. But you're not when you're dating, you're not building from ground up. You're taking people how they are. So you cannot expect someone to have every single thing that's on your list. There's some things that are going to be off that list, and you have to go, okay, I can live without that. That's okay. I could do that. So I don't think I necessarily had a list because in my mind from the get go, I was like, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. So how am I going to expect somebody to be everything on my list as well too? And it's not necessarily saying that I lowered my standards. It's just being realistic. I think that's where I came from.
Yeah, I mean, being realistic is the main part, but I mean, if you're asking me for a list, like, do I'm looking for somebody 6'3", whatever? No,
Yeah, because you did not get that.
absolutely not. Like, you're not close to 6 foot.
Hey,
But that's not important to me,
right.
is what I'm trying to
I'm
say.
closer
So,
to 5'11" than 6 foot.
well, yes,
Yeah, see? There you go.
closer to 5'11" and 6 foot, yes, because you're short. um,
I'm 5'7", y'all, because y'all can't see me. I'm 5'7", so I'm not that short, you know. Don't be making these people think I'm like. All right, go ahead. Continue.
you and your little tangents.
You're right.
You're not 6 foot.
All right, let's bring it back. I'm sorry.
So no, I didn't have that.
Okay.
But there are some things that are like non-negotiables.
Okay.
And so non-negotiables are more about like how somebody treats you,
Right.
how they act,
Mm-hmm.
what they want to do with themselves. Like I didn't want someone who didn't know what they not know. I'm not saying like you had to know your every move, but I didn't want someone who didn't have motivation to do anything.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, makes a lot of sense.
Like I wanted someone to know that they had things planned for the future. Not
Yes.
necessarily that you know exactly what that is, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't either, but that you had goals set for yourself to not just be stagnant. Like
Right.
that was a thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was a non-negotiable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about characteristics as in, you know, they look like Chris Brown, then no.
Oh, here we go. Well, you got the complete opposite of Chris Brown, so there you are. I can dance a little bit though.
Okay.
A little bit. Not rhythm. Okay, got you. So with that, of course, physical out the window. No list for that. Emotional, some parts of your list. You could say not maybe a list, but just kind of like things that you looked for.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
everybody's gonna have that.
The laws of attraction. Got you. Okay. Got you. Got you. All right. So let's talk about the spiritual side of that because we've had that conversation before, of like deal breaker when it comes to spirituality. What was one of those things?
I needed somebody who believed in Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a thing for me. I mean, now I know, and I've heard people before say, you can help them with their journey. I'm happy to help anybody with their journey. But if there was somebody who was blatantly telling me that they don't believe in Jesus, like
Mm-hmm.
that was a non-negotiable for me
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because that's not how wanted to raise my future children.
True.
And
Yeah.
so it was important for me to have someone who was aligned with my beliefs as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way because it's one thing to, like you say, you can bring someone, but like there's another thing where if they're like stuck in their ways, like it's not happening. What do you do then? Like you spent all this time saying like, oh yeah, well I'll eventually get them closer to Jesus to what I believe, and then it doesn't happen. Like what do you do then? Like do you just throw it all away, or like you know what I mean? So I wanted to
Yeah,
make sure that that wasn't one of those contributing factors because I know once I was married, I wanted to be married
right,
forever.
right.
So yeah. So, question about that. So, with the list, do you think that, well, not a list. Let me stop saying that. Expectations, so things you look for. with things that you look for, do you feel like you found your soulmate?
I don't believe in soulmates.
Ooh, okay. Explain.
I don't. I don't believe because well, at least I don't believe in the what's known to be soulmates, like
Okay.
definition type,
Mhm.
where people say like, "Oh my gosh, I met him for the first time, and that is the person I'm going to marry.
Mhm.
He's meant for me. I'm meant for
Right.
him." I don't believe in that.
Okay.
And I mean, I believe you can become someone's person,
Mm.
but I don't believe in soulmates because I feel like that means it was like an immediate connection.
Mhm.
And even if people tell me they had an immediate connection, it's based off of the first initial reaction.
Mhm.
It's based off a lot of attraction, like physically.
Right.
And it could be partially about their personality because you met them, but it depends on where that was, right?
Right.
Did you meet them out into a fun space?
Mhm.
Right? Did you meet him at a lounge where you were having a cocktail or whatever?
Blurred lines.
And you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
now you giggling because you already in a good mood and like so I
Right.
don't necessarily believe in soulmates,
Okay.
but I do believe in someone being your person.
Got you. So I want to say something to that, but let me back up and give people the definition. The what when I say definition, y'all, I'm talking about Webster's dictionary. We'll kind of dig in a little bit deeper on what it actually means. But a soulmate by definition is a person ideally suited to another as a close friend or romantic partner. So that's the definition of soulmate. But here's my thing. I don't want to hear nobody say that they close friend is their soulmate. That just I don't know. To me, that just sounds weird
I
just
mean,
because
based on
of
that definition, it's fine, but
yeah,
that is not how society takes it.
of course.
Society makes it seem like you fell in love overnight.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, by societal definition, I do not believe in that
Yeah.
because I believe in someone being your person.
Mhm.
But I mean, by that definition from the dictionary, that's
Mhm.
more suited towards what I was saying.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I feel like you have to get to know people. You have to
Mhm.
understand the quirks about them, what makes them tick, what they truly believe. Because I also believe that people don't show you everything at the beginning. They show you what they want you to see
Right.
or what they feel like you want to see, not
Mhm.
necessarily them trying to, show you something, but like what they think that's gonna make you like them. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I mean, I think it all depends on that. Like it's so much into it that makes somebody your person, like how they
Right.
respond to you and things like that.
Okay. I would have to agree with you on the soulmate versus person, which I want to change that person to. We'll change it to life partner. We'll change it to that, but we'll kind of we'll stay
You
in that
changed
realm.
my word and I said
Okay,
it's
I'm
my
sorry.
person.
Well, okay, you're a person. All right, soulmate versus person. So soulmate to me. So I feel like people are placed in your life for a reason.
Yes,
So I feel like God always has a hand in the relationships that you build, whether
I
good
agree
or
with that.
bad. And I feel like not saying something is, a person's your soulmate. I feel like it's more destiny rather than saying like, "Oh, I'm just searching for my soulmate." I don't think it happens that way. I don't think anybody's like searching for their soulmate. I think it just falls into your lap. So what that when I say that, I feel like it falls into your lap is because you learn to for that person to be your person.
Yeah, but also the people who sit here and talk about they want to go find their soulmate,
Yes.
they're looking in all the wrong places because
Right.
they're looking for those characteristics that may not
Be their
be
soulmate.
checked out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that God had a plan for us,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean that I initially thought you were my person.
There you go. So, going off of that. So I want to give you a perspective on this. So soulmate versus person. So
Okay, lifetime partner, whatever you want to
yeah,
say.
no, we can do person. I like person. Person sounds better. It says soulmate is someone that helps us grow as an individual who stops us from falling behind and helps us in every possible way to move forward. Whereas a life partner is an individual with whom we want to spend our entire life with. So, hearing those two things, do you think that those two things are separate or can it be the same person?
Well, I think I've established that I don't truly think there's a thing as a soulmate.
Mhm.
However, I do think. based on that definition,
Mhm.
soulmate and lifetime partner have to coexist.
Mhm.
Because why would I want to be with somebody forever
Mhm.
if they're not the one that's helping me grow, helping me love all of life or whatever,
Mhm.
I don't think you can truly be a lifetime partner without being having the supportive piece or the one that brings me joy.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense because yeah, you can be with somebody forever, but like, are you happy with that person forever?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like for me, I feel like that's why relationships don't
Yeah, like why
last.
would you want to be with this person? Like
Exactly.
there's got to be
Exactly.
a reason.
hmm And so yeah, so let's talk about life partner again. So life partner, I feel like for me, I feel like it has to be the same thing, and that kind of debunks that whole thing of saying like there's a soulmate and there's a life partner. I feel like the life partner should have some of those qualities of the soulmate. They kind of one sided this definition. They
Yeah.
didn't say any kind of characteristics of what the life partner is supposed to do. Like you ain't just existing and just being there.
I
Like
mean, I've heard people before say my soulmate is 6'3", chocolate, and plays for the NBA.
I feel like that's a type,
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a type. It is somebody. It's what you think is attractive,
right?
but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is something or someone who would be the best fitted for you.
hmm And I feel like when people do chase the physical part of it, that's when they end up either not finding somebody or finally realizing going, yeah, maybe I ain't gonna be able to find both. Because of course we talked about before, you have to have the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual part. Which one of those is more important to you? Because for me, it's just honest. Looks fade. I don't look the same way that I did when we first met. So you can't go off of that alone because, like I said, they fade. You have to have that person that you connect with, that you have the same ideals. You have to make sure that you have the same beliefs as well too, and because you're going to be doing life together. It's not fair for you or that other person for you to just drag somebody along constantly going, well, I don't agree with that. Well, I don't want to do that. Well, we don't want to do this either. Like you got to come to a common ground with those things, because if otherwise you're gonna live a miserable life, and it's not gonna be what it's not gonna be fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean, people evolve.
True.
So not only do the physical aspects like the looks
Mm-hmm.
change, but also the way we think, the way we act, the way we present ourselves also evolves depending on time,
Mm-hmm.
our surroundings, our environment, the experiences in our life,
Mm-hmm.
right?
All right.
So you have to have someone who you can connect with on a different type of level, understand
Mm-hmm.
the emotional connections and the different things that you go through. Because if not, it's just somebody for a temporary time.
There it is.
And that goes for, I mean, relationships and friendships.
Mm-hmm.
There are some friendships that are meant to be temporary.
Yes. Seasonal. Yes.
Yeah. And,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing's wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it may suck during the time that the change happens. But there are certain things that are meant for a season and certain things that are meant for a lifetime. And
Right.
so, like, when you're looking for a partner, a spouse,
Mm-hmm.
you want to look for someone for a lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, yeah, you think she's cute, but what happens when she gets the wrinkles? Now what? Do you still think she's cute? What happens when she
Right.
gains 20 pounds because she has a baby? Is that acceptable to you?
Right. Exactly.
Because there are people out here who, once that happens, now they no longer think this person is their person.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because you were looking for the wrong things.
There it is. Yeah, I agree. Now, with people's misconception of the soulmate and life partner, do you think that it's fair to the other party because they had a misunderstanding? So if somebody thinks that yeah, my soulmate looks like this, blah blah blah, do you think it's fair to the other person because like we talked about the physical fades, and then now physical's gone, and you like
Say it evolves.
okay, evolves. The physical evolves. Okay, I like that.
Evolves.
Yeah, let's not. Yeah, the physical evolves, and then now you're just sitting there looking at them like, well, what we here for? Do you think that's fair to the other person?
Well, no, it's not fair, but I also think to a certain extent the other person has a piece in it too.
Okay.
Because what were you seeing in this person? Were they
Mhm.
showing you that they care? Were they showing you that they actually love you for who you are? Were they showing you that they connect with you on like whatever your thoughts and ideas are? Don't mean you have to agree with everything, but like, do they understand
Mhm.
who you are as a person? Right? Because if now they up and say, I'm leaving because I mean, that is shallow.
Right.
That's shallow.
Mhm.
And no, it's not fair to that person. But I also want to question, like, did you truly feel like they were your person too?
Right.
Because people will show you, I mean, there are going to be some times as it goes on that people will show you, how they truly feel about you. And
Mhm.
you have to know whether or not it's a red flag and to
Mm.
believe it or it's something that you're just thinking into, right? And that's why we talked about before, how like having conversations, because if you just are going to ignore the red flag, that's on you.
True.
But if it's something that just pops up out the blue for you, like they've been doing this stuff, they've been showing you they care, they've been and all of a sudden it clicks.
Mhm.
No, it's not fair to you, and that is it's sad. You know what I mean? It's something that you don't want to see, but where do you go from there?
Right. And I feel like that piece happens a lot in the dating phase as well too. It's like, yeah, of course, like you said before, people are having a good time dating, seeing other people. Of course, with the common goal, or not common goal, your goal is to find a mate, but maybe that other person that's not what they're looking for. But then, like you said, that's something that you nip in the bud in the beginning and say, hey, this is my expectations, and if they don't meet your expectations, don't drag it along. It's like people showing you what they want you to see. It's
Mhm.
almost like a job.
Mhm.
So with a job, in the interview, I'm tell you the truth. I'm like the best employee or worker when it comes to interview. I put it on, but I also try to keep that same energy while I'm having a job. But some people don't do that. They have an interview person and then they have a job person.
Yeah, on the stage.
Right. Because once they get the job, it's like, whoa, that is not the person I interviewed. So then that's on the employer to go, hey, just not the same person. Let's not drag this along. Let's not see how this develops. It's that whole thing of quick to fire because you want to look for the best person. That's it, right?
Slow to hire.
Slow to hire. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's that aspect of it as well too. You want to make sure that you vet people out. You don't want to drag it along.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that like did did you jump into it without truly feeling like you understand the person? And I'm not saying there's a time frame,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we have some friends, we have some close people around us that
Mm-hmm.
didn't date a long time, but they have great relationships,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have people who dated a long time, on and off again, and not so it turned out not to be so great.
Right.
And so I'm not saying that there has to be like an actual time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying, do you understand who you're dealing with?
Right.
Like it's important. It was important for me to truly understand the dynamics behind your family, right? How
Mm-hmm.
you treated your mom, your relationship with your dad,
Mm-hmm.
because those things ultimately shape who you are.
True.
And while again, our experiences shape us and
Mm-hmm.
we can decide, to be better than our experiences,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, that's who you've been around. That's who
The
raised you.
core.
That's the core of who you are.
Right.
Whether or not you're trying to grow to be better or change something about yourself, I can understand that too.
Mm-hmm.
But just understanding like the root cause of why you say things that you say or what makes you tick, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what makes you upset and why does that make you upset and what did you see and what did I see growing
Mm-hmm.
up, you know? And I think if you don't really get to the root of that conversation, and some people get that really quickly, but if you don't get to it at all, now you're just going off of they look good, I look good, we look good together, we're
Mm-hmm.
having a good time, and
Mm-hmm.
this is going well,
Right.
right?
Right.
But the key pieces of what you need to know and how you're going to raise your children, how you feel about working, how do you feel about finances, like all those things play a role,
True.
and I think sometimes we forget that.
Another question towards that. So I want to kind of draw the line between, with me. So you saw all those characteristics. You saw how I was brought up. How do you kind of determine between like I don't know if he ever gonna change to like I could see potential in him changing. How do you kind of determine that, or is it more faith?
I think at the beginning of any relationship you kind of want to just you want to hope that that person's going to turn into what you need,
Yeah.
But I also think you have to be realistic in your expectations of them and yourself.
Ooh.
Because that is, I mean, you call me a bulldog sometimes and we laugh about it. But it's just me being honest. Like I don't want to sit here and have this expectation of you or have this thought about you and I haven't shared it.
Mm.
So you
Mhm.
have no idea what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling about a certain situation, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm just got it in my head and I'm like, well, either he gonna fix it or something ain't gonna be right, you
Right.
know? So I talk about it.
Yeah.
I share it with you. And I'm pretty straightforward when it comes to it. I
Mhm.
mean, I work on it sometimes, like, but I'm pretty straightforward. Hey, this didn't sit well with me. I
Mhm.
don't like that. Tell me what was going on.
Right.
Like, and allowing the space for you to give your feedback too,
Mhm.
because you might not have even thought about it. Like thought about what made me upset. You might not even thought anything of it.
Right.
And so for me to hear your side of it and have like a normal human conversation
Mhm.
versus like like I'm just done or just letting it go, I think that's where we get into trouble. Because if you continue to let something go, they gonna keep doing it because they don't know it's wrong, right?
Mhm.
Or they don't think you care. They might know it's wrong, but they might not think you care. And so now you're in this whole different situation
Right.
versus having a strong conversation with somebody, honest conversation, and saying, yeah, that didn't make me feel good.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, like, that's where I draw the line. Or that didn't make me feel good. I don't like when you do that.
Right. And that goes to effective forms of communication for sure. Now, so there's this. It happened in Martin as well too, where you see the person, you see the potential in that person. You're like, man, I just, I just want to not necessarily point him in the right direction, but I want him to tell him how I feel and how it makes me feel. I don't want to, you know, change who they are, but I just want to change maybe their perspective. Do you think that us men don't understand that aspect, like as far as that goes, to where it's like, oh man, she's just trying to change me or whatever? Do you think that that's the reason why, or do you think it's more of like they think that they're trying to turn them into a different person? Your perspective.
I think it depends. I think
Hmm.
it's the person, right? Like if they're willing to listen and actually consume what you're
Right.
saying, right? Like,
Hmm.
and we weren't always there.
Right. Right.
We both will get defensive at
Uh
certain
huh.
things, right? But I think at a certain point though, that defensiveness has to diminish because you need to be looking at me as she's telling me something that's really affecting her. I care about her
Right.
and it affects our relationship. So I need to think about it in those terms,
Right.
not she's attacking my character.
Right.
Right? Same for me. Like he's telling me because it really upset him. Something I said triggered him,
Hmm.
and I need to figure out what I did and why it triggered him so that I can better understand for the future. Not he's attacking my character. So I think it just depends on where the person is at that moment of how they're able to consume information.
True. And as a man, I think from a man's standpoint, I feel like because us as men, we're always like it's every man for himself.
Mhm.
So we're already in survival mode. So when we think that somebody comes in, we think that well, one, we think we got it all together. You know, we
Mhm.
do. We think we like, yeah, we got it. I'm the leader. I'm the man. Blah blah blah. All these things. But like, you got to have a part of you that says like, it's kind of almost like constructive criticism.
Yeah, I mean,
So a
part
lot.
of being a leader is listening.
There it is. Yes,
We talk
exactly.
about it at work. We talk
Mhm.
about it, with the kids all the time. Like I say, Kaden, listen,
Mhm.
if you want to be a leader, you got to listen sometimes and
Mhm.
understand what people are saying, right?
Right.
Like part of being a leader is listening.
Mhm.
And if you can't listen to what I'm telling you or what I'm saying to you that upset me, then one, you can't lead me, and two, you don't love me. Because
Right.
right now, and I tell people all the time, like when they ask me, like, how did you know that he was your person? Right? Like,
Mhm.
okay, I care more about him than I care about myself.
True.
And I know that can get controversial because people say you got to love yourself. I do love myself.
Mhm.
And that's what got me to the point to where I also care more about you because you are a part of me.
Right.
And so you don't love me if you can't listen and understand where I'm coming from without always having to come back with something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know it's a personality thing. It takes some time. I'm not saying that that's the first thing that you got to think about, but I'm saying after some time
Mm-hmm.
and you truly understand this person and they are supposed to truly understand you
Mm-hmm.
and they're still not willing to accept criticism, which is constructive, right?
Right.
Not
Mm-hmm.
just badgering,
Right.
but constructive criticism. I don't think you love me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
True.
Because whatever, if you say something to me that I upset you, hurt your feelings, or whatever it was, and I don't even take the moment to reflect on how I played a role in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about you. I care about me
Right.
and how to make me look good in the situation, how to make me look right.
Yeah, and I think that birthed the term that men use it a lot more than women do, the term nagging. It's like, oh, she always nagging me. But I think it's more, there's two parts to that. One, it's not being able to have that constructive criticism, not listening. Like when somebody comes and tells you how they feel, you don't immediately go into defense mode, like, well, why are you feeling like that? I don't understand. Like that's what we talked about before as far as emotional intelligence, that anger part of it. It's like the defense mode. But then the second part of that, which I know you can agree with because you say you've been working on it, is like how you come at the man
Hmm.
and how you present yourself. But if you're coming at him yelling, the only way he responds is yelling as well too. Same thing we talked about with the kids. We can't keep yelling at the kids because one, they ain't gonna hear it. They're just not gonna receive it.
Hmm.
And then two, you don't want them to know you don't want them to feel like my way of responding is to yell as well too, and not being able to receive what's actually happening and what's actually being presented.
Yeah, I think we also too have to recognize here, you said
Mhm.
nagging, right?
Mhm.
And nagging to me is saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So if she's coming to you nagging, if I'm coming to you and you feel like I'm nagging, then that must mean we're talking about the same topic, which also to me is a problem.
That there's no change.
Right. So if you feel like she's nagging, if
Mhm.
they feel like she's nagging, I would wonder, have you reflected on what is she nagging about?
That's true. Because then in that situation, you're just hearing it. You're not listening.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Mhm.
letting it go in one ear and out the other, and you're not willing to do any work to make a change, right?
Mhm.
And so, yes, we don't want to sit here and yell at kids because they don't hear it.
Right.
They don't.
Mhm.
They don't respond well to that. But also, we have to recognize that there have been times when we say it very calmly what we
Mhm.
need them to do.
Mhm.
And we say it again
Mhm.
and again. And finally, we're frustrated.
Right.
We're frustrated, and that's when the yelling happens. So I would just take that into consideration too. If she's nagging, if she's yelling, how many times has she said it?
So let's back up with that actually, because I have a perfect example of the term nagging. Not necessarily when you're married, but in the dating phase. It's like when you come at somebody and says, "Why you always got to go out? Why you always got to be with your friends?" So there's something more to that. I don't think she really cares that you're going out. There's something else to that as well too. I think it's more of I feel like you're not spending time with me and you're not showing me the attention that I'm desiring at the moment.
And it could be.
Yeah.
And at that in that moment, I don't consider that nagging. I consider that a frustration, right?
True.
And
Yeah.
so like if it's different, that's what I'm saying. Ask
Mhm.
yourself,
Mhm.
is it nagging because she's saying the same thing over and over and over again?
Mhm.
Or is it her just being, I don't know, upset, frustrated over something,
Right.
right? And not
Mhm.
communicating well,
Mhm.
right? Because if she's saying, you always going out with your friends,
Mhm.
right, there is an underlying meaning to that.
Yeah.
Has she communicated that?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, that is on her,
Mhm.
right? Like, has she said, hey, I feel like you always go out every Friday night with your friends, and I would really like for us to spend some time together on Friday.
Yeah. It's a better
Like,
better way of saying it. Yes.
okay, right?
Mhm.
But if she's already had that conversation multiple times, and
Right.
now she's saying, "Oh my gosh, you always going out with your friends. I don't
Mhm.
understand." Now you think she's nagging. and her
Mhm.
frustration's coming out because she's had to have the conversation so many times,
Right.
right? But
Mhm.
if that's the first time and the only time she's ever
Mhm.
said anything, okay, then you might have something to say.
Right.
Like you just don't communicate well. She
Right.
hasn't communicated well.
Uh-huh.
So it's dependent on those questions.
You're right. We'll go back to this one piece of soulmate, which we've now determined that soulmate life partner to us, same person, same person. But one thing that really stood out to me with with the definition of soulmate is somebody that helps you grow as an individual.
Yeah.
And I feel like overall, what we've been saying, these different things about, like, showing expressing your feelings about something, knowing that this is what you want, these are the goals that you want, you're trying to get to a common goal. And I feel like bringing all those things together is what helps you have a happier life with your life partner. So when I say that, I want to ask you a question about one thing, one part of your growth as a person that I've helped you with in your life so far.
Good question. You should have posed this question earlier so I could think about it. And I'm not pausing because I don't feel like you haven't. I'm just trying to figure out the most impactful.
Hmm. And I'm cheating because I made this question up and I
Exactly. So
already know
you
my
already know
answer.
your answer. So you don't have
But
to
I
think.
also do want you to go first.
Let me think about it. I mean, this is just one of the things. But I think for me, I'm the oldest, right,
Hmm.
of my sisters. So I grew up being like a second mother, depending on myself a lot, like putting a lot of stuff on my shoulders, even when nobody else was. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like just putting things on my shoulders about what I should be doing, how I should be showing up, how I should be, I don't know, presenting myself
Hmm.
for others was a big thing about me, which looking back on it's kind of frustrating because it's like you live for everybody else, not for yourself.
Hmm.
And that is what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of times you have come and basically put it into perspective that like you gotta live for yourself.
Hmm.
You have to make decisions based on yourself. You're not, you don't have to make your decisions based on everybody else and what they think, what they do, how they react, what they need,
Hmm.
right? And so while you're a very caring and thoughtful person, it was also that you brought into perspective that I have to be caring and thoughtful for myself because I will put myself to the back burner a lot for other people.
Hmm.
And so with prioritizing myself, you also showed me that I don't have to do things alone.
Mm.
Like I don't have to rely solely on myself. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that you've done for me because I'm always been like, if I want it done right, I'll do it myself.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I mean, there are plenty of times where you're like, what do you need help with now? I was like, I got it.
Hmm.
I'll figure it out. And you're like, no, we're going to figure it out, you
Right.
know? So I think that is pretty impactful to me.
Yeah. Because one thing I always tell you, you can't pour into other people's glass if you're empty.
Yeah, and that's true. But I've always done that,
Yeah, I
you
know.
know. So like you coming in and trying to help me change that, right? Like you didn't change it, but like helping me see the other side of it
Hmm.
and prioritizing me when I wasn't prioritizing myself.
Right. And I think as far as growth, I think one other piece that really helped us in that growth as well too is me giving you grace. Not saying that being upset whenever you say I'll just do it myself. There were times earlier on that I was like, oh, why doesn't she just get it? Like, you don't have to do this stuff alone. I'm here, I'm doing this.
Yeah,
And stepping back and going, understanding core values, how you were raised, experience that you grew up with, saying, okay, I understand that's why she's acting that way. Let me step back. Let me show her what she's doing in this situation and then try to help her along the way. Not trying to make it instantly a change in that person.
yeah,
And I think that helped us out a lot for sure. Like I said, I cheated because I made the
yeah.
question.
You cheated.
One part of my growth that I feel like you've helped me with tremendously is, and I've said it multiple times, is being able to express myself because growing up, it may not seem like it, but I had a very nonchalant attitude to a lot of things.
Mhm.
And I think when we started dating and of course got married, I think you saw that, yeah, you're nonchalant about it, but that really does bother you.
Yeah.
How do I get him to not put up a wall and not be able to verbalize how he's feeling? But you also took your time with me with that as well too. And it's the way that you ask questions. Yeah, I understand like you don't care. Like of course you don't care because you're gonna live your life. And that goes back to how it helped you grow is like, worrying about me, but it still does hurt you. Like that situation still affected you. Let's talk about how it affected you and not just bottle it up because there were plenty of times that we talked about before about me thinking that I can't cry.
Yeah.
And there were times where you said, "It's okay, like, you can cry," and, like, as soon as you said that, instantly started crying. But it's not that in that situation I needed to cry, it's just because I bottled all that stuff up before because I'm just putting it to the back burner like, "It's alright, you good, don't worry about it, do your thing," like
Yeah.
that, and I feel like you've helped me to be able to be more emotionally intelligent in being able to express, like, how I'm feeling in certain situations. Because like, now I'll tell you straight up, like, "Oh boy, that right there, that did not make me feel good." And I'm able to communicate, and you like, okay, now I can see where he's at instead of having to walk around guessing.
Mhm.
And I want to thank you for that because no one in my life has ever done that. And I've told you before, like, it was always like, yeah, Tuck the man, blah, blah, blah. He cool, he funny,
Oh,
blah,
they
blah,
said
blah.
you was the man.
No, I made it up in my head.
Oh boy.
But like, I'm a very likable person. I mean, I got the
That's true.
soprano. Okay,
That's
I'm
true.
likable, I'm
Okay.
dependable, I'm always gonna do for people. And people would I don't want to cuss, but people would poo poo on me sometimes, and I would be like, it's their thing. I don't care. Shoot, let them know. Let them do that. That's how they feel. I'm just gonna let that relationship die. But in the same time, I'm like, man, that really hurt me because I'm like, I'm helping this person out, and
Yeah.
for them to do that, like, that's not a good thing. And I'm like, well, somebody along the line to teach them that. But then it was more of like, nah, you should express yourself to let them know that it ain't all sweet. And you wanna let them know, like, yeah, I didn't feel too good about that. And to be able to say, like, yeah, that's how it made me feel. Do you want to change it or do you want to go your separate way as well too? And I feel like that's something that you've helped me do as well.
Yeah, because I mean, what good does it do you to just bottle it up and move on and they never know exactly how you feel about something, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, it's just like
It is what it
it is what
is.
it is, went out the
Right.
window. But like, okay, well, at that point, with you bottling it up and moving on, either you're gonna be unhappy in a friendship, relationship, whatever it is, or the friendship, relationship is gonna be no longer.
Mm-hmm.
So having the conversation and letting them understand where you're coming from, for me, is like, okay, they can take what they want to take from it, and you decide, and they can decide
Mm-hmm.
whether the friendship is no longer or not. But it's not for nothing, right?
Yeah.
Because at that point, if they don't understand where you're coming from or won't even listen to it, then
Mm-hmm.
they're not your friend in the first place,
Yeah.
or they're not really worth you having the conversation in the first place.
True.
For me, it's really big on communication, and sometimes it comes off rough,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all in good intentions.
Right. I agree. Yeah. I agree now. You helped me realize that. Now, the $1,000,000 question. Are you my soulmate or not? I know you don't believe in it, but am I your
You're
soulmate?
my person.
Okay. I'll take that. I like that better, actually. It sounds better.
Yeah.
I love that conversation, babe. It was a good one. Until next time, y'all. Talk to y'all later.
Should you just peace sign the microphone?
I did. I did. That'll be good for when we record.
Hey, y'all. Did you enjoy the episode today? If so, don't forget to comment your favorite moments and share with your family and friends. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to our Married to Millennials podcast YouTube channel and follow us on every major platform for podcasts. And don't forget, we're also on Instagram and TikTok at M2M Podcast. See you later.